tomorrow is not promised to you. Take advantage of this opportunity and give him your heart. Ooh, don't let another day go by. He's standing there for you with his arms stretched open wide. Don't let it drift away. Don't let it drift Give him your all. Just confess it with your mouth and say, Lord, this is a sinner's prayer. And I come to you so humbly. I give you my heart, my mind, my soul, my body. It all belongs to you. Don't let it drift away. Don't let it drift away. Don't let it drift away.
Peace, family. Thank you all for joining. Before, hold on one second, making sure everything's coming in. Okay, great. I think you can hear me. So before this live, I was at the hospital with my mother. We just got back all of her results from her um, from her biopsies, and the prognosis was she has lymphoma of the brain. She also has a blood clot. I'm asking that everyone keep mother in your prayers on tonight. She is battling. We really didn't want that news. We just wanted it to be a tumor, but she is in a teaching hospital, you all, and they specialize in lymphoma and different brain cancers. So she's being well taken care of. She is cognizant at times. Um, we got her to walking a little bit today, and she ate a little bit of her food. We're trying to build up her strength. Now, the decision is chemo or nothing. They said that where the lymphoma is, where the mass is, it is inoperable. They cannot operate it on it. So there's only two choices: to leave it be and let her be at peace, or chemo. So we just got that news back. If we do decide on chemo, it is a rough decision because with her age and with her not being able to speak that well, we've had discussions with her in the past. What if? And your parents, a lot of times they just say, just let me go, just let me go. Reason why I so adore Miss Mo, a lot of people don't realize that we have more in common than we think. When I heard about Miss Mo's son, that broke my heart. And I never ever forgot that, Miss Mo. You see, I've been praying for your family as well. I've been praying for so many families that are going through similar situations, you all. This by far has been grueling, this edition, not because of those that are in it, because that is simply a joy. But time management is very hard during these type of situations because you have your crew that depends on you, and then you have your family. You see, I'm the oldest girl in my family, and my mother and stepfather, they adopted three children. And so I have a lot of people that depend on me these days. And I remember telling my father 3 years ago when he transitioned, there's one thing he did say. He said, keep the family together because you're the only one that's brave enough. I don't know if I'm brave enough, you all. And then my beloved said something the other day. He looked in my eyes. You know how sometimes they just know without you speaking. And he said, and I kept saying, I have to prepare the family. I have to prepare my siblings. I have to be strong for them. They have to know that it's okay to be weak because I'll be strong for you. He said, but beloved, you haven't accepted anything yet yourself. He said, I've been watching you. He says, you're so vulnerable and you cry at the drop of a dime. He said, it hasn't really hit you yet. He said, but you're going to have to let it out. You're going to have to let it out. And then I heard someone say, one of the queens, I think it was my assistant, Yeah, it was my assistant, my PA. She said, you know, God gives the hardest battles to the strongest soldiers. I used to think that. I used to think that I was the strongest person in my family. And I just did a live about smoke and mirrors. I must be honest that it has been smoke and mirrors for the last couple of weeks. Huh. I've been putting on a brave, oh, thank you, Philippians 4:13. I've been putting on a brave face, you all, for all of my people, for my for my editor, my co-editor in Australia, Danny Joel. I've been putting on smoke and mirrors because he had went through something not too long ago with his family members. See, you have to be that rock when your people need you, you know? And so a lot of times we just don't tell our people what we're going through until it's too late. I have to say this to everyone that's here. I think a lot of you know how to reach me, right? I don't ever want this to be a one sided friendship because you all are friends. I want you to be able to reach out to me. You know, there's some that I just knew I would hear from, and I haven't heard from them. It kind of hurt. I'm not going to lie, that really did hurt. And then I thought about to have good friends, you must be a good friend. I didn't want to get involved with a lot of things, you all. And then I got involved with too many things. It's always a balance, isn't it? Of trying to find your peace. Your peace is so very precious, Diamond. I heard you on one of your last live videos. How new levels, new devils. The higher you climb, or the higher most people think that you climb, the more opposition, the more devils that'll come at you. I heard a story, you all, from one of the big mega pastors. And he said, you know, people were complaining because they said, well, he has these beautiful cars, he has these beautiful homes, and oh my goodness. And he said, but, and then he showed a movie on the screen for the entire audience, and he had thousands of members. He said, you never saw these pictures. You see, that's my wife before she became first lady. She was helping me to build our church from the ground up. You don't know how many nights she stayed up praying. You don't know what all she gave in this ministry, how she went without everything just to help me build this church. You weren't here when it was just a storefront. You weren't here when I didn't have a lot of clothes because all of the money was going towards the church. You weren't here then. So I want you to see where God brought me from. And then he said, if I preach prosperity, if I say that God has cattle on 1,000 hills, and it's all yours to claim, how can I look like a bum in front of you? He says, do you think that all we do is just collect money? He said, no, we don't just collect money. He says, we get we get a salary. That's what happens in mega churches. The pastors, they get a salary. And I didn't understand that. I used to complain to my mother. My mother, you know, is an evangelist. My stepfather was an elder. And I used to say, you know, I was the same way. All these pastors with these big cars and these big houses. He says, I've retired from my job from after 50 years. I said, yes, sir. He said, am I ever home or is your mother ever home? I said, no, your guys are always gone. He said, correct. He said, when all of our members, the ones that are not in the hospital, are sleeping, we're putting in work. He said, we're feeding. We have feeding programs. We have clothing programs. We have so many hospital visits as chaplains because you cannot say to your members, well, I know that you're dying, but we're tired tonight. He says, no, we have to drag ourselves out of bed when we don't feel like it, when we may be ill ourselves, because that is the path that we chose. He said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, but render unto God what is God's. He said, we are God's tools on this earth. He said he would not have us starving. He would not have us on the streets. He would have us prosperous, and he would show us how to show others how to believe in God so that they too will prosper. He said, I don't know where these believers get this narrative that you have to be poor. He said that in the Bible it says it's a needle in a haystack. He said a rich man, you can forget about half of the time going to heaven, because most of the time the love of money is the root of all evil. So how you make your money determines where you will go after this life. I do believe that myself. And then he said, all of the nice suits that you see, all of the nice hats that your mother wears, all of the beautiful dresses that she wears. I said, yes, you guys are impeccably dressed. He said, you forgot where those came from. I said, what do you mean? He said, every pastor's appreciation, our members purchased these things because they wanted us to look good, because we were representing them as well wherever we went. He said, your mother's hats. He said, do you remember on Mother's Day and on Evangelist Day and on First Lady Day, how the members would gift us and gift your mother with beautiful things? I said, yes, sir. I remember now. He said, so what made you think that we were taking money from the church to buy beautiful things? He said, they gifted us those things. He said, and that happens a lot in churches because we are the ambassadors for Christ. We are the ambassadors for God. People will not take you seriously if you say that God will provide all of your needs and your wants, if we do not represent that. I used to feel guilty, you guys. Have any of you felt that way, that your mission or your purpose has taken off and all of a sudden you notice those that used to support you, they're no longer around, or perhaps they scandalized your name? Perhaps when you were just starting out, there were thousands that wanted to follow you, but now that you have reached a certain pinnacle of success, those that you thought were going to be there are nowhere around. Sometimes God will show you how to cut your grass, so that the snakes will be revealed. Every year, you have to cut your grass. My kings and queens and earths and gods, you have to cut your grass. You have to cut it very, very low. Because if not, you know what happens. Did you know also, my beautiful ones, that sometimes you can be training your replacement? I had a boss tell me that one time. I was a trainer for Darden restaurants, and I went all over all over the different cities, and they would pay me per diem to train the staff in the restaurants, Bahama Breeze and other places. I would train the wait staff and the host staff and the bussers, everyone, even the dishwashers. And he said, remember this, you can be replacing, you can be training your replacement. I said, that's kind of cold. He said, no. He said, because a lot of trainers, a lot of people that advance in certain positions, they get a big head. And then they forget how it felt when they were first introduced to the good life. They forgot. And so they become complacent. And then they don't do what they were supposed to do, like they were trained to do. They just let things slide because they're now in control. He said, don't ever be in so control that you forget where you started from. I've trained a lot of people, you all, over the years. And my mentor, she is here. She knows that and she's seen it, that I've trained people and they have actually tried to run off with a lot of my clients, with a lot of my ideas, even ironically, with some of my designs. It's ironic. I've made thousands of flyers and posters and promotional things. And I noticed that once I was giving it away, once they got it, they were gone. I said, wow, that hurt. I learned a lot. I learned a lot in this business, you all. I learned one very important fact as well, especially in the magazine area. I wanted to attack a lot of my demons or a lot of my haters. I said, this is a platform. I can call them all out now. Yes, I can. And then when I started realizing the position that I was in and the lives that I would affect, I said, reevaluate why you're doing this. Are you doing it for accolades? Are you doing it to truly, truly help your people? Is it vengeance? Is that why you started it? Or do you have a bigger purpose? You know, I could call out all of my enemies in every edition. But would that be fair to all of the readers that have no idea what is going on? And they really could care less because they have other things that they are worried about, such as Sherry. She dropped so many great, great videos on what's going on our planet. Miss Mo, my little fighter, my little hellion is what I call her. She's going to stand, even if she stands by herself for years, she's going to stand. I've learned so much from all of you. It is amazing. And I had to reevaluate a lot of things, you guys. I was putting out magazines so quickly that I did my readers an injustice. That's okay, baby. I did them an injustice because I took I took shortcuts when I should have delved more into depth with the articles. I said, well, if I can do it quickly, then bam, bam, bam. But that was not fair to a lot of the artists and a lot of the people in the editions. So I promised myself as I was spending time with Mother because I had time to think finally, you all. I was away from social media. I was away from the internet. I was away from the frequencies and vibrations for the very first time in a very long time. I was actually able to think uninterrupted, even though our family, we were going through something. I was actually able to have one on one talks with my family members. You see, it takes certain things take certain things that you go through to remind you. I was upset. I was really upset with myself because I was entertaining so much foolishness. And you always say, if I could have that time back, if I could have that time back, if if I had known then what I know now, I would not have spent so much time on BS. I would have spent more time with this person. Don't find yourself in that position, you all, because I had felt very guilty within the last couple of days because I thought about all the magazines and all the energy that I was putting into them when all the while while my mother had lymphoma. But I know one thing, that everything happens for a reason, or in a season, or for a plan, or for a purpose. Everything that happens to us, I believe it is to teach us. I do. I believe that some things will teach us patience, some things will teach us kindness. You know where I'm going with this, right? Gentleness, self control. It will teach us fruits of the Spirit as well. But sometimes we must untap, you all. We must untap because today could be our last day. I've been trying not to, Sherry. I've been trying not to beat myself up. I have a lot of regrets. A lot of regrets. I was thinking about the lie from earlier about uh, about about being accepted, about being accepted. I thought at one time, I truly did, if I do something good for humanity, then I'll be accepted. I wasn't even accepting myself. I was okay the way I was, but I was always trying to be something for someone else, you see. For the artist, I was trying to be the best promoter. For the entrepreneurs, I was trying to be the best promoter. For my readers, I was trying to be the best editor. I had no idea. I had no idea all this time that I was enough. I read that somewhere, one of the queens. She was talking about being enough and how she finally realized that she was enough. I finally realized that we are enough. We are enough. We are flawed. We are incredibly created. I think about twins, how each twin is separate, how even though they can be identical, they're still separate human beings that were created by the hand of the creator. Do you know how incredible that is? And thought about that. I thought about that. There were two things that my mother prayed for all of her life. I would have done anything to have made those prayers come true. When she was born, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but in that city where she was born, she was a young girl. There was not a lot of security in the hospitals. My grandmother had twins. She had a boy and a girl. If I tell the city, a lot of people will know that this truly did happen at that time. My grandmother was ready to leave with her twins. The little boy was gone from the nursery. My mother didn't know for years that she had a twin, a fraternal twin. She said, I feel like I'm a part of someone else. And we could never understand what she meant. She said, I would have headaches, like someone else is having a headache. Or I would feel like I just had an accident in a car, but it wasn't me. She says, I don't understand what is going on. She was a young girl at this time. My grandmother had to admit to her, we've been looking for your twin brother since he was born. They hired investigators. No one could find my uncle. That was one of her prayers all of her life. You see, I have regrets that I couldn't make that possible. Another is a lot more intimate, and I won't tell that. There are two people that I could not find from my mother. I thought that I found one. Like I said, we hired investigators. I thought that I found one, but I think it was someone in their family. I don't know. What I do know is that who she's looking for, I think she will meet on the other side. Two people in particular. She's going to meet her brother finally. And I think they're going to know each other. God has told me that they're going to know each other. She's going to know that that is her brother. Um, Many regrets. Not being a bad daughter. I know I was a great daughter. She smiles when I see her. How I know. That's how I know that I did good by both of my parents. I knew that this day would come. You see, a lot of us, we've went through this with our parents. You know that the day is coming, but you can't wrap your brain around it. And then once it does come, you still, you don't know how to live. At this point, I don't know how to live. I'm walking around in a daze. She's had so many medical issues, but this one. I'm walking in a daze, you all. I feel like for the first time in a long time, I feel as though, and you know, the old song, God will not give you more than you can bear. Sometimes you get tired of bearing. Sometimes you just get tired of bearing. But we live to fight another day. We live to encourage one another. It's no coincidence that we met each other thousands of miles away. It's no coincidence. God put us together for a reason and for a season. I do believe that. I've never forgotten any artist that I've ever played. And there have been thousands. I can tell you about their families, about their children, about everything. I promised myself I would never ever forget anyone. Psalms. Let's see here. All right. Let's read it together, you all. Psalms 139 and 14. For thou hast possessed my reins. No, 14. Okay. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. I'm reading out of my beloved's Bible. He has God. He he is something else when it comes to the word. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm looking at all of his notes in his Bible. I swiped one of his Bibles from him. See, he has a bookmarker. The happiest people I know are those who love themselves in the service of others. Wow. We were just talking about that. What must I do to be saved? These are all notes in his Bible, you guys. One of his Bible. He has literature from all over the world. It's very brilliant, very astute, very astute. And I'm very, very blessed to have him in my life. Okay. In a couple of hours, I'm going to drop the link directly to the magazine. It is very, very easy to order. Sorry, folks, coming down with. It's very easy to order. You can order as many copies as you like. They will come straight to your home. They will ask you, your shipping address and for your email, your phone number. That is for you can actually track where the magazine is. It will tell you exactly what day it's going to be delivered. You can also order for your friends as well. You can, yes, you can have the additions. Oh no, gosh. It's going in and out of this weather because our weather went from 40 and it's back down to 20, I think. But you can have them shipped to any address that you like as well. You can order as many copies as you like. Um, I do pray that you enjoy Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you. Yes, and I will give you rest. That is one of Mother's favorite verses. Wow. But yes, so be looking out for that link, you all. I may attach it to this video here, this live. So when you come back in the morning or later this evening, you'll be able to go straight to the link. You can, yes, it is bipolar. You can pull it up on your Google or on another, and just pull it up. It'll take you straight to the magazine purchasing page. So that is it. That is all. I tried to get everything together before. Now it was almost completed, but had a few more pages, and that just really threw me for a loop. I had to completely shut down coming back from the hospital, you all, but I did want you to know what's going on. So just be looking out in a couple of hours or in the morning. I love you guys. Have a blessed evening.